Good evening. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a night with City Lights Theater as they present Cellista's Finding San Jose. So glad to have you here. I'm your host, Dawn L. Troupe, actor, artist, and educator from the Bay Area, and I'm elated to be your guide for this evening's performances. I first fell in love with Cellista after having the pleasure of working with her during the Transfiguration Tour, where she integrated dance, literature, music, and film seamlessly, bringing to life histories of the Bay Area, in particular Oakland. Beautiful storytelling. Tonight, you can expect to be moved, entertained, challenged, and enlightened. And Cellista doesn't work alone. So tonight she's brought some friends along to present Finding San Jose. We're so happy to have you here. Speaking of being entertained, why don't we dive right in? Our first performer is pianist Tammy L, who has spent over a decade as one of Northern California's most sought-after accompanists for many of the region's best jazz and blues singers. With Blue Divine, her 2019 release on the Elfinworks label, Hall steps forward as a leader in her own right. What stands out most about Hall's music is her compelling lyricism, possessing an uncluttered telegraphic style marked by her classical training and deep roots in gospel. Tonight, Tammy L plays variations on Cellista's Finding San Jose. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Tammy L, and I want to thank you, Cellista, for including me in your program. The first song that I have arranged for you is Cellista's composition, Conversation at Trials. Thank you. This is Song for Two Lions. For Ferlinghetti.
Wasn't that great? Thank you, Tammy Hall, for that lovely performance. We are we are reading your notes. Please keep making suggestions, claps. We see you in South Wales. We see the dogs on laps and everything. Please keep making comments. We love hearing that and love hearing from you. Wasn't that beautiful? Oh, Cellista, your music on Tammy Hall is simply amazing. I'm floored by your music on you, but God, woo. So next, I'm excited to introduce you to the magic that is Cellista. Cellista is a nomadic performance artist. She creates stage poems, narrative multimedia works after those of the artist Jean Cocteau, which juxtapose seemingly disparate elements. Her stage poems investigate the ruptures of daily life. They are politically concerned, observant, and revealing, breaking down the borders between audiences and performers, disciplines, genres, and beliefs. Her work is based in her conviction that creating art is a radical act of resistance. Love that. One that illuminates fragmentations and allows us as witnesses to attend to our collective wounds and transfigure them. Her next stage poem, Pariah, set to be released in spring 2021, is an operatic fairy tale with semi-autobiographical overtones featuring a companion book by philosopher Dr. Frank Seeburger. It explores issues of othering and exile within our communities. Cellista is a former San Jose Arts Commissioner and currently serves as an elected chapter governor on the SF Recording Academy Board, the Grammys. She completed her master's in business at Berklee College of Music this past fall. She's not doing enough creating all of this beautiful work. Please welcome Cellista.
Hi.
Hey. Cellista, thank you so much for having me here and for creating this space. I got a couple of questions.
Good to see you again.
I know, always good to see you. Finding San Jose is your first self-produced album and multimedia project, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Can you tell us a bit more about this and what you were trying to convey with the piece?
Yeah, so Finding San Jose, I did this in 2016 and it was totally on a whim. I've been working as a session player for quite a while, and it dawned on me that maybe I had something to say myself. And so I decided to do an album, and then I decided to kickstart that album. And so I did this in 2016, and I worked with someone who is really near and dear to my heart. Her name is Miriam Caduce. I used to play in her band called Doe Eye, and then she switched to doing audio engineering full time. And so I think my album was one of her first albums. So it's a really kind of a precious, like, I was just getting started, and it's so cool to be here tonight to revisit this work, and I'm really nervous.
Amazing, because I am nervous and it's wonderful. It's calming listening to you, and also it's calming because I know what's coming. So I'm excited for that. I also understand that Finding San Jose will be used in an upcoming documentary. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, I'm really psyched. I am the composer, and a lot of tracks from Finding San Jose are being used in a documentary that's coming out soon called Sickness in the System. And it's a documentary that's being produced. It's about prisoners in San Quentin who have contracted COVID. And so it very much falls in line with a lot of my mission and what I believe in, and about issues and ideas about exile and the othering of people within our community, and those who are often stripped of their voice.
I love that. I really love that. I'm excited to see that as well.
Yeah, it'll be coming out soon, and it's going through a company called Field of Vision. So
yeah. We'll look out for that. Thank you. Thank you. You're also working on other projects. Can you give us a little insight into Pariah, maybe?
Sure. So Pariah is my next multimedia work. It's an album that's a hybrid fairy tale And it has also sort of semi-autobiographical tones, as you mentioned before, and it's being recorded in immersive audio, so sort of surround sound. And again, this project also examines issues of exile, of othering, of ruptures within our community, because I think that's a continual place from which to work.
It's fantastic. I love how you incorporate the art with the activism, but you mentioned something about radical activism, and you're unafraid to venture into waters that sometimes artists stay away from. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Cellista. Cellista does not work alone. And next, coming up, is Jennifer Gigantino, who is Cellista's partner in crime in many ways. And I'll let Jennifer talk more about that. But formerly, she was a performance poet. Jennifer brings a literary and rhythmic fervor to her films, which incorporate animation, live action, and found footage. She has worked in solitude and with local musicians whose style range from rap to classical and folk to noise. Her work touches on themes of esoteric spiritual knowledge, female strength, and the juxtaposition between nature and technology. Please welcome Jennifer Gigantino. Hey, Jen.
All this time and I still haven't gotten the hang of Zoom. Thank you for your patience.
It's okay. It's okay. We all have Zoom patience now, trust. Welcome. Welcome. Can I ask you a few questions as well, since you've joined us? Excellent. You were a part of Finding San Jose's foundation, right?
Yes,
and
yes.
Cellista's often described you as an equal partner in her productions, as well as an other spouse. Can you explain your long-term role and relationship with Cellista?
Yes. So Finding San Jose was our first major project together. We'd worked together on small things before that. But when she first started talking about the album and about the idea of bringing it to the stage and having these projections, I was all about it. Cellista and I, though we come from very different disciplines, artistic disciplines, we have a lot of the same influences: Cubism, Dada, the bring together of disparate elements, like you were talking about earlier. And so it was. I feel that we see the world in a similar way, and so her music really speaks to me, and so I feel that making a visual interpretation of it it works well for us, I guess.
Yeah, and
for lack of a better word.
Oh no, that was wonderful. And you've done other projects with Cellista. Can you talk about another favorite?
Yes. So actually, we in late 2020 we did a project called Rage, which was a sort of an EP, and it was a companion. The album was a companion to the Dr. Frank Seeburger's book, The Irrelevance of Power. And so we did a dance film, which brought in different musicians and different dancers to make an interpretation of themes from the book. And it was produced entirely for live streaming, because it was produced under our current lovely circumstances. And I felt that it really turned out powerfully.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Your images are very powerful. I've seen your work, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Cellista, and thank you, Jen, for introducing what we are about to jump into. How about we jump into the world of the film Finding San Jose? And we'll come back and talk to you guys afterwards.
Yes, please.
Awesome. Okay, take it away, Andrew. We'll see you guys soon.
Once upon this day, today, in a place maliciously mellow, there dwells a woman arrayed in white, in a tower, golden yellow. She plays all day. She plays all night. Her instrument, the cello. Come as her melody plays, beckoned to the tower, bewitched upon her musical gaze, and beguiled by her power.
Beguiled are we by your temptatious tune.
Bewitchingly sweet and
Bewitchingly sweet and mellow.
Sweet and mellow.
Dare make us swoon.
Dare make us.
Dare make us swoon.
With your temptatious
tune.
And your enchanting.
And your enchantingly charming.
And your enchantingly charming cello. So, for her to please, but alas, we hear their cry.
Is this all that you play today?
This all that you play today?
Is that all this you play all day?
That all this you play all day?
Is this that's all there is you
There
play?
is to play?
There is much more. There is much more. There is much more.
It comes from my heart. I tell you this, for it is true. Everything I am is also my art. And it is for you, and you, and you, and you.
And as we end this tale, there is no doubt.
Give all that you are before your light goes out.
Sorry, so you.
In 1847, C.S. Lyman did the first survey of San Jose, reserving 2 square blocks of open space named St. James Square. The square remained mostly undeveloped for 2 decades, except for being the site of public school number 2. In 1860 brought a building boom around St. James Square, including Trinity Episcopal Church, built in 1863 and still in use today. In 1867, local nurseryman William O'Donnell was awarded a contract to fully landscape the park with a symmetrical design of 250 trees, lawn, and pathways. In 1868, the Santa Clara County Courthouse was constructed facing the park, and by 1870, O'Donnell's park plan was completed. Noted landscape architect Rudolf Ulrich was hired to improve the park design in 1887, and was the likely designer of the central fountain. By the end of the century, St. James Park had become a robust Victorian-style urban oasis, surrounded by churches, lodge halls, and hotels. It was also home to a memorial to President McKinley's visit to San Jose just prior to his assassination. Sadly, 1933 saw the infamous public lynching of the alleged Brook Hart kidnappers. The park changed significantly in the 1950s when the fountain was removed and 2nd Street was routed through the park. In 1968, another memorial was erected commemorating Robert F. Kennedy's presidential campaign visit. In 1979, the park was included on the National Register of Historic Places as part of the St. James Square Historic District, with the declaration that St. James Park and its environs comprise the most vital urban elements of 19th century San Jose. And in 1980s, the light rail alignment route was placed down 2nd Street, further bisecting the park. Although the St. James Park has changed significantly from its inception in 1847 until today, its importance as a priceless jewel of San Jose history remains.
Was the hour where the night is golden?
That was the hour where the night is golden.
We were sitting at the pub talking about art and faith.
And we were sitting at the pub
but really
talking
just
about
making
art and
jokes
faith.
about Moxie.
But really just making jokes about
The whole
Moxie.
time we were thinking
The whole time
reasons not to quit.
we were thinking of reasons not
Hoping
to
none
quit.
sounded too convincing.
Hoping none sounded too convincing.
Little is worthy of perfection. Leaf bed of a garden hiding place.
The leaf bed of garden
Sleeping
hiding
with
place.
eyes open.
Sleeping with
The
eyes
resonance
open.
of spruce and maple.
And the resonance of spruce and maple. To name a few things.
Somehow, free beers kept coming.
Free beers kept
Sovereign
coming.
and uncomplicated good.
Sovereign and
Our
uncomplicated
faces
good.
were Christmas red.
Our faces
And
were
got
Christmas
redder as
red.
we laughed at imagined
redder as we
pickup
laughed
lines from American
and
men
imagined
with Celtic
pickup lines
knotwork
from
tattoos.
American men with Celtic knotwork tattoos.
Suddenly, the place felt like
Suddenly,
home.
the place felt like
Which
home.
is to say, we felt captive in it.
Which is to say we felt captive in it.
Mahogany slanting inward.
The mahogany slanting
Secondhand smoke that moments ago an
secondhand
aging
smoke
Marine held
that
tightly
moments
inside
ago
him.
An aging Marine held tightly inside.
A beacon in the crowd.
A beacon
Here,
in the crowd.
it seemed okay to hate yourself as
Here it
long
seemed okay
as
to
you
hate
did
yourself.
not say so.
As long as you did
As
not
long
say so.
as you chose some pieces to tear and did
As long
it
as you
quietly.
chose some pieces to tear and did it quietly.
One of us said something.
One of us
thought
said something. Or maybe just thought
We
something
cannot repeat.
about truths we cannot repeat or
Play the
unsee.
game where you flip the coaster
And
and
we
catch
played the
it.
game where you flip the coaster and catch it.
Still
Midair.
talking about trauma and
Still
risk,
talking
whether
about
feeling
trauma
holds the
and
prize in
risk.
case.
And whether feeling whole is a prize in
breaks
case.
the fall.
Or something that breaks the fall when you let go.
The rain seemed to be listening. He was
The
famous,
Marine
of course,
seemed to
for
be
his
listening.
unwanted
He was
advances.
famous, of course.
But the
for his
cigarette
unwanted
cloud around
advances.
him shimmered in an
The
Irish
cigarette
stained
cloud
glass
around
sort
him
of
shimmered
way.
in an Irish stained glass sort of
The
way.
openings in the gutters and the
And the
black
openings in the
alcoves
gutters and the
appeared
black
to widen
alcoves
as
appeared
if
to
making a
widen
confession.
as if
a
making a
language
confession
we had forgotten.
in a language we had forgotten.
valley of the heart on my sleeve, root to the fruit, dropping your seeds, San José turf, whatever that's worth. Strip malls now, was farmland first. The valley gave birth to the eye in your phones. High price homes, subprime loans. Sunshine shone on the bottom of the bay. Glimmer like neon, Dion knew the way. San Jose, 408. San Jose, 408. San Jose, 408. San Jose, 408. From the valley of the heart.
Call it a brute sense of simple animal well-being. Stuck in my memory is one recollection of it. When I was back, still going to college, I think. I was riding in my 1959 bug-eyed Austin Healey Sprite, with the radio on, with the convertible top down, driving up Evergreen Canyon Road one bright morning. And I didn't have a care in the world. Just then, the words of the old song came to me, Simon and Garfunkel singing, Feeling Groovy. And I did, just for that one endless moment. Many years later, I also felt the very same thing. Once in Washington, D.C., when you were still a baby in a carriage, pushing you along, walking beside your mother. I felt, reminder of the one-time past and herald of any yet to come, that same brute, simple sense of sheer animal well-being again, as if God was in his heaven and all was right with the world. There have been other times too, I fleetingly felt the same. The body itself somehow retains the knowledge, it seems, of how to go back there to that bodily well of animal well-being. If I will just get out of the way and let it lead and guide me there. And that, I think, may really be, at long last, the way to San Jose.
We gazed ahead and past what was there. I saw you, a beacon of light in a crowd. We are already here. I am confessing, this is my home. Captain. I love you. I love you. I love you.
looked up at 5 in the afternoon, under the burning sun, the matador and the bull in the bull ring in the Plaza de Toros, and the picadors and the bandoleros, and the blood on the sand, and the sword in the back of the bull between the shoulder blades, and the bull swaying and falling on the sand, and the ear of the bull cut off and given to the matador, who bows to the cheering crowd of mostly American tourists in shorts and golf shoes, and the matador holding up the bull's ear to the crowd, and doffing his hat and bowing and waving the ear on high, and the bull with feet in the air dragged out of the ring by a team of old nags, and the blood on the sand being raked over, and the sun baking the blood in the sand at 5 in the afternoon. The tender young bull, the young brave bull at 5 in the afternoon. The young brave bullfighter in his suit of light, dancing the dance of death at 5 in the afternoon.
My God, was that not wonderful? Whew. Can we all take a collective breath together? Had I not breathed, I probably would have been in tears coming back. Radical, right? As I mentioned before, Cellista's work is more than just a song. It's an experience in living out loud. Silence should not be an option when it comes to activating ourselves to connect to others' humanity. At this moment, we would like to take a moment of silence, though, for the lives that were lost in Atlanta. If you would, please close your eyes or just sit quietly and still for the next 30 seconds. Thank you for that. Cellista mixes media and storytelling and song and fight. And the Bay Area is a character in Finding San Jose. How beautiful and richly interwoven is story in that. And Jennifer Gigantino edited this. We're going to bring both Cellista and Jen back for some more questions. Please come on back on, guys. We'd love to talk to you about this creation and the process. Woo, bravo, bravo, bravo. Wow, guys. So wonderful. We should all be feeling the same electricity in the space after watching that together. And that is what art, music, and movement does for us. And I'm so grateful to you all for creating this. My God, what was the process of creating this? How did you begin conceptualizing this piece?
God, it feels like so long ago. And I mean, it's so strange to just like watch this. Yeah, I did this in 2016, I think. And I did it kind of blindly. And I think in watching this now, I can sense that sort of earnestness and just lack of caution because I didn't know what I was doing. But I had a sort of story that I wanted to tell about the place that I call home. And at the time, that home, and it's still my home, is San Jose. And it's the place that gave me my creative voice. And I think that this album was really just trying to capture the aura of the place, the first place I really called home.
Love that. Love that. Jen, you want to add to that?
I'll add that when we first started conceptualizing this, we really started from a very like nebulous place. There was the music, of course, which existed, but the symbolism, the themes, the stories, the way it ended up taking shape, it really took place kind of over a long period of time. Just us pushing things back and forth and looking at things and sifting through things.
And being unafraid together to take creative risks.
Definitely.
I think for both of us, it was sort of the seminal moment of we have an idea and we have a story and we want to tell it in the way that feels right. And I think with Jen, I'm able to just like write a treatment and I can send it to her and she'll say, yes, this is doable. Or she'll say, this doesn't work. But either way, there's a free exchange of ideas. And there's many rough drafts. I still have all the copies of everything we've ever done together with all the like treatments going back and forth. And so with Jen, what's wonderful about our relationship is that we were unafraid together. And that's really special. That's something that I really cherish.
Yeah, as do I.
Love that. It reminds me of a quote that you guys had in the piece: give all that you are before your light burns out. And you guys ran towards the fear, which is so beautifully crafted in this piece. Can you talk about the album art by artist Tulio Flores?
Yeah, so a lot of this is really, it germinated from a festival in San Jose, an annual festival in the summer called Sub-Zero. And it's held and it's curated by Sherry Leakey and Brian Eder, who run Anno Domini Gallery in downtown San Jose. And they've given me my career. So I had approached them about just performing at the festival. And they said yes. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I don't think I want to just be on a concert stage. And I was in graduate school at the time and I was taking a musicology class and I was learning about the French surrealists and I was heavily influenced by Jean Cocteau and his Parade. And Parade reflected like the reality of the time. And I realized I wanted to perform on the street. And so there's a visual artist I knew named Tulio Flores who lives in downtown San Jose. And so he's the one who did this album art. But he had this idea of costuming me in this like very ornate costume within a bird cage. And so in that birdcage, I would just do these structured improvisations for people passing by. And I would ask them to share, like a wish, dream, or hope that they could write on a little receipt tag and attach to the cage. And that kind of, this is where it's all coming from, is Sub-Zero. But Tulio, prior to Sub-Zero, had painted this gorgeous painting of what's on the album, and it looks like me. And I always joked, and maybe I don't think it's a joke. It could be true if you believe in fairy tales. I think Tulio painted me into existence, and it's me that that painting, and I think that it just captures the spirit of the album.
Art inspiring art. I love it.
I'm so grateful for him. So much of this is just, you know, Song for Tullio has gone on to become like a larger orchestral piece that went on Transfigurations, my sophomore album. So I'm very, you know, I'm in San Jose. I'm so grateful to Sherry Lakey and Brian Eder of Anno Domini for believing in me and giving me all the opportunities to become a multimedia artist and to have confidence. And then to Tullio Flores, who just saw me from the beginning and painted me into this world. So thank you.
Wow. And Cellista, you're paying that forward by seeing so many other artists and collaborating with them. We're going to get to them soon as well. I would love, Jen, for you to talk a little bit about the visual art factor that you wove into the piece as well.
Yes, I would love to. I'm not, am I back on?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, great. So I, as we were saying earlier, it starts with a treatment and the bouncing ideas back and forth, and with the music. I definitely work in kind of a chronological way, or no, chronological is the right word, but like from the beginning of the music to the end. I pick out places in the pieces where the music changes, where there's a crescendo, where something needs to happen, be accented, and then from there I go from start to finish. And I do that because I find that it helps me really conceptualize the piece as like a story, you know, as like an experience. Mm-hmm. And then we bounce back and forth and we, you know, we look at what works, and we look at what sticks out and what doesn't work. And yeah. So
dope. Jen, do you play a musical instrument? Makes me think about art influencing art.
I do, not at a very high level, but yeah, but I do play a little. Wow,
because your editing is very, just what you said. It's so musical. You listen very well. It's very lovely. It's layered beautifully throughout this piece.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Cellista, you recently moved from San Jose to Los Angeles. And what does it feel like to revisit this? You gave us some input in the conversation wall, but what does it feel like to revisit the work after having moved away? And what is the significance of this work to you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's really emotional to revisit this work. It was my first work. It was the first time I believed in myself, and it was the first time I think I realized other people might believe in me. And, you know, as with transitions, of course, there's sort of a loss of faith in oneself. And I think revisiting this work is helping me kind of reclaim that confidence.
Yeah.
And I feel like as I go on, you know, it's nice to go back to sort of reclaim that earnest voice and that uninhibited voice. So it's quite, and it's something also because this was meant as an offering to San Jose. This was an offering to the community, the creative community of San Jose. And I will never forget what they gave me. And it's foundational to my work, so.
That's fantastic. Do you feel that young people today in San Jose have the same opportunities to find inspiration and people like you do?
I want to say yes. I think that the reality of the situation right now, maybe illuminated by the pandemic, is that there are not opportunities for creative voices to be nourished by the community in San Jose as it is right now.
We need more support. Right?
There needs to be more support.
Completely agree. Jen, Can you talk about freedom of interpretation? I'm hopping back and forth. I would love to, I could go on forever with both of you, but we've got to try and balance it. So how much freedom do you have in your interpretation?
So I would say I have a lot of freedom. But it's, I don't know, freedom is almost not the right word. I have a lot of leeway, a lot of I'm sorry, I don't know what the word is. I have a lot of something. I'm going to think of the word at 3 o'clock in the morning today.
You're actually, I know you wake up.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is that I feel, this is not the right word either, but it's the closest one I have. I feel empowered to make calls and make interpretations because I feel like the music tells me, at the risk of sounding like a weirdo,
no,
I feel like I feel like the music tells me what it wants to be and what it wants to look like. And since Cellista and I are pretty simpatico in a lot of ways in our outlook and our taste, I feel safe and able to just believe what the music is telling me.
Oh my God.
And you know, it bounces back and forth, and in the middle, you know, we get the final product. We get what you see tonight, and yeah, that's about the long and short of it.
That's beautiful. Not only is it telling that the community and a belief in oneself feeds music and art and creates this universal dialogue that, like I said, made us all feel something, should speak to the support that is needed in the community, you guys. Thank you so much, Cellista. Thank you, Jennifer, for speaking to us. We are now going to jump in and bring the performers in who, and they'll tell you who they are, where they call home, and what they do. And with that, I'd like to introduce Lilith Ransom, Lauren Baines, Rykarda Parasol, and Dr. Frank Seeburger. Welcome, you guys. Hey, everybody. How you doing? Good. Lilith, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself first, and would you tell us who you are in terms of this art form, and where you call home, and what it is that you do?
Thank you, Dawn. I'm Lilith Ransom. I live in San Francisco in the Lower Haight, in the Convent Arts Collective, which is a place I'm very happy to call my home. It's an old convent, and now we're so-called nun artists. And what I do is I'm a dancer, choreographer, run-of-the-mill weirdo performer, just like, you know, Freya and Lauren and all of us here. I have my self-titled dance company, I guess, Ransom Dance, which is mostly me. And I also run small events in the city. So I guess that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Can I ask you, Lilith, to speak on your collaboration with Pam the Funkstress remix and your ASL interpretation?
So I was really excited when Cellista asked me to choreograph some ASL dance to the Pam the Funkstress. That was a remix in and of itself. I'm a remixer here. I was really excited because, you know, I'm a CODA, child of deaf adults. And so sign language is my first language. So in a way, that's a linguistic home for me. And I love that there is a shift from the original song where there's more of a strong beat, and I could use that in a more gestural style of movement Because with sign language, you have these hits that kind of accentuate and punctuate different things that you want to say. And translating the movement of American Sign Language into dance was very intuitive. So I was very happy to bring the language of dance out to an additional level. So yeah, it was very meaningful.
Quite magically. And I, in the film, realized when I was watching earlier that Lilith and Mojo, who's in the house, danced on the Transfiguration tour. And I love your work, Lilith. Love it, Mojo. Love what you do. I'd next like to bring on, thank you, Lilith, Lauren Baines.
Yes, hi, thank you. Lauren Baines. So dancer, choreographer, interdisciplinary artist, fill in the blank. It kind of depends on the project. My kind of home base with art is movement, but really love weaving in different disciplines and different artists and collaborators. So home really is kind of in the body and in movement and in theaters and strange spaces, but home is also San Jose. So there's a lot that resonates with me about this work and this journey that we've been on over many years, as has already been discussed, but it's had different forms and iterations. So yeah, this sounds like an intended pun and it's not, but as we were watching the film earlier, I really had the sense, especially towards the end, of like coming home. It's like, I know that space. I know what it was like to be there live, and now to be there with everyone in this virtual space, it still brings me back to that.
I love that you equated coming home to dancing as well, that it feels like coming home. And I'm wondering how the cello informs your movement when you're dancing, especially with Cellista.
That's a great question. I don't play any instruments, but cello has always been my favorite. So getting to work with Cellista over the years has kind of brought that to life for me. I get to kind of live through her and through her cello and through the music. Musicality is so important to me, and it's kind of a two-way dialogue. A lot of people start with music and then choreograph from there. And that certainly is the way I work a lot of times, but sometimes it's the other as well. So having these moments with Cellista and the prompts that she's given me and the space to create and respond has felt really like a dialogue, even if we're not always in the studio together, that there's just a way that we're able to have that communication throughout the process.
Love it. Thank you so much, Lauren. Beautiful.
Thank you.
And we will now move on to Rykarda Parasol. Please welcome.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, I'm Rykarda Parasol. I'm a musician, songwriter, and vocalist. I had a rock band for a really long time, and that's how I met Freya. She was working with some friends, and we had a chance to record on some of my work. And so it was a real delight to contribute to somebody else's project and just be a part of that. And yeah.
What was it like working on this particular piece and seeing it for the first time? This was your first time seeing it, right?
Yes, the first time seeing it. I love words. I love lyrics, and looking at the poetry. Those words are a delight to speak, and so I just wanted to do it justice. And I like working with Freya because she's a great director, and it makes me feel like, sort of like an actor in a play, even though it's just the recording studio. But knowing what the vision is and serving not just the song, but the larger piece. And even though it's just a little bit of spoken word, like all these little details matter. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad we got a chance to hear your voice on this. I'd love to also hear your singing voice. Do you have any upcoming events that we might?
I don't have any upcoming events, with COVID and everything.
Yeah.
But, I'm actually working on an anthology of my lyrics. So it's going to be a book, and it'll be an ebook and an on-demand book. And then I have a little book of poetry that will be out later on this year too. Now I'm turning red. So
I'm glad you're still creating. This is a difficult time, but I feel like it's a way to ancestors and to another world when we create. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And last but not least, we're going to go to Dr. Frank Seeburger. And I also would like to bring on Cellista during this interview. You'll see why in a minute. Can you tell us who you are, Dr. Seeburger?
I doubt it, but I haven't got. I hope that by the time I turn 80, which is not all that far down the road, that I'll have some kind of a basic clue of who I am. But anyway, how I've spent my life for the most part was as a professor of philosophy, and I've been retired from that for going on 8 years now. And I'm very happy in the retirement because it lets me do my work, which is philosophy, or in a broader sense, thinking. And if you want to know where my home is, that's where it is. I mean, my home is thinking, it's thought. And in the Eurocentric tradition, that's called philosophy. So you can say my home is philosophy if you want to. And in a more everyday sense, my home has always been the Front Range of Colorado. I was born and raised in the Denver metro area, have always lived in northern Colorado, except for 3 years that lived in New Mexico and one in Florida. And anyway, watching this all this evening, I've found very, very moving. And it is kind of like a going home to go there and to listen to all the poem that I provided called Finding San Jose was given to me in effect because of Freya's moving to San Jose, she and her husband. And her first birthday there, I sent her that poem. And it was triggered by the connection in my mind where San Jose is in my mind. It has been determined by the old song by Dionne Warwick with lyrics by Burt Bacharach about, do you know the way to San Jose? And one of the lyrics is, do you know the way to San Jose? I'm going there to find some peace of mind in San Jose. So San Jose, in that, heard with that kind of an ear tuned by that song as mine was, to think of San Jose is to think not only of a geographical place, but it's to think of peace of mind. So it's an icon for peace of mind. And it's, as I've been watching Freya this evening, it's just crossed my mind that she's gone in the reverse direction, because the song talks about leaving LA to get back to San Jose. And just as San Jose is the place of peace and silence that can hear, LA is just a dunning place. LA in the song, LA is a great big freeway. Put 100 down and buy a car. In a week or two, they'll make you a star. So it's a place in that sense. LA, and I'm not bad mouthing the city. There are plenty of wonderful things in LA, but LA is a place of distraction and of dispersal. In contrast, San Jose, as it functions in the song and in my little poem, is a place of gathering and of coming back to oneself and into the silence where one can hear. And I've listened to everyone talking about their callings, in effect, their vocations in that old original sense of the word. And we have to get free of distractions somehow before we can hear who we are and what we're called to be. And the call can be a long one. So I've been talking too much.
Oh, no, that was a snap in agreement with you, Dr. Seeburger. And if you guys haven't figured it out, Dr. Frank Seeburger is Cellista's father. And Cellista,
I should have mentioned that.
If I can, I would love to know. So your dad has been writing you poems since you were how old?
I think 16, right, Todd?
That sounds right. I think it was 16 or 17.
Yeah, so I have a whole book of poems that I've received on my birthday. And I think, yeah, it's like such a great gift. It's, I don't know, there's something, and I think especially with finding San Jose, it just set the tone, that like kind of nostalgic sense of arrival, of coming home. And I just, you know, when I hear it recited by Rykarda, and actually it's her piano playing, as a matter of fact, it really, it often gets me very overwhelmed and in tears. There's just such truthfulness in it, such grounding, again, just earnestness. So it's really, it's big, Dad, I love you, Dad. I'm really lucky because all my projects just, in a lot of ways, I conceptualize all of them by bouncing ideas off my father, because they're so rooted in just ideas. It's not really music. The music comes after. It's really about, I think my father creates, if you can think of it as like a forest, he creates clearings for those thoughts to come to you, and for me at least to process those ideas. So I think all my projects, their foundation is my dad.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And now Cellista is creating incredible landscape based on what you have written. That is so powerful. I will, and like I said, one of your pieces in Transfigurations was just tore me to pieces, and it's one of my favorite pieces of writing. So I thank you for sharing your gift and making it home for all of us who get to read it. Thank you for being here, Dr. Seeburger.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, folks, we are going to be ending the evening shortly, and I just want to make sure you know that we are so happy that you spent your evening with us, shared your time, your thoughts, your energy, and the space. We appreciate your presence. We'd also like to thank San Jose City Lights for offering the space. Please keep theater alive, keep creations like this and artists employed by donating to companies such as San Jose City Lights. And you can donate at San Jose City Lights Theater is where you can donate as well. Please look for Cellista's Finding San Jose on cellista.bandcamp.com. Again, cellista.bandcamp.com. And Cellista has a request for you, the listening audience. So I would love for her to bring her mic on and welcome Cellista.
Thank you. First off, thank you everyone for being here. I'd like to thank my cast for all the support you've given me, just all of you throughout the years. Creatively, it's incredible. Thank you to City Lights Theater for presenting this work. It's so meaningful to revisit it, especially as I'm moving to Los Angeles, and I very much have San Jose on my mind and the welfare of my creative community. So again, like Dawn said, if you can donate, please do donate to City Lights Theater Company. They do so much for the local creative ecosystem. As you know, a big part of my process is based on my community giving me prompts. And those prompts simply mean I'm asking you today as an audience and as in my cast as well, if you could type in the chat box even a wish dream or hope for the place that you call home. And this is something that I will probably take and create a new work from. And just before we conclude this evening, I would really like to ask my ensemble to share their own wishes, dreams, and hopes for the place that they call home. And I'll just ask in order, but Dad, why don't you start? You're muted.
I was playing with your kitty. We're house sitting Emma, who goes with Freya eventually at her.
Dad.
Well, we are.
Is that your wish, dream, or hope that I would take my cat back?
No,
On a serious note.
yeah, but my wish for my home, I hope it finds itself.
Yeah, that's good. That's fine. Lauren.
Yeah. Right now, my wish, my hope, my dream, they're with individuals facing housing insecurity, food insecurity. May they find the support from our community, from one another, for sustenance and for shelter.
I love that. Jen?
So my wish, my hope, and my dream for the place that I call home is that that everyone would take the long view and work towards and live with support for each other, live with kindness for each other.
I love that. Hey, Rykarda, you're next.
Well, I agree with everyone. I think we've been living with so much fear, and I just hope people can lead with courage. And I think it takes courage to be kind and to be vulnerable and to face all the hardships and the newness that will be around the corner. I hope so. Yeah. Courage.
Courage. Lilith. Mute.
There we go.
You can sign it.
Yes, I could. Yes. Sign the whole time. I guess my wish, hope, or dream for home would be to find sanctuary. I have to spell it out. Yeah, sanctuary, a place of peace, a place of safety. Because I think it's so important to make sure you have a center where you can go to and feel where you're at home, not only under a roof, but in yourself. So yeah, that's my hope, wish, and dream.
I love it. Dawn.
I would say all of those things that everyone's mentioned, to have a true sense of community and to see one another.
I love that. My own wish, hope, dream for the place I call home. Home, I'm not sure where home is right now, but yeah, God, what a night. Like, my heart hurts. I think what I wish for any place that can be a home is that it has an awareness, a self-reflection, and an ability to see itself reflected in the gaze of others. And that's my wish for any place that becomes home. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And tonight's performance would not have happened if we didn't have Andrew in the back seat area. Andrew Serber, please give it up. He is not on screen and he's not dancing, but he is the reason we were all able to be seen and heard. Thank you so much, Andrew, for keeping us on track. Thank you again, everyone, for being here. Cellista traverses the walls between disciplines and the borders between spectator and audience, and now you have all experienced her. Please support artists, find the album for Finding San Jose, and please support local theater. San Jose City Lights Theater needs you just as well as artists do. Thank you. Have a great evening. Good night, everybody.
Bye night. Thank you.